Today I thought I'd take a few minutes and show you a few examples on how to knit with these Flexi flips by Addie. I got these last month and thought I'd give it a try. Well, it took a long time to even figure out how to cast on because I'm not a DPN knitter, and so I thought that I would experiment a little bit and try to find as many YouTube tutorials that I could, and none of them showed me how to cast on, and they were just brief as far as the instructions go. So this is by no means the only way to cast on. This is how I do it, but I'm going to show you how to cast on for toe up and for cuff down, and with those two cast on processes you'll be able to see how I hold my needles for knitting. So these are 2.25s, size 1, and unfortunately I'm going to have to show you how to do it with sock yarn. I'm just using Knit Picks stroll fingering for this demonstration. If I had larger needles I would definitely show you on a larger stitch so that it'd be easier for you to see, but you can slow it down and pause it at any time. So let's get started. The first I'm going to show you is how to do toe up, and this is not going to be a lesson for how to do long tail cast on, but this is how I do it. I take as much tail as I want left, and I hold on to it with the 2 needles, and I just wrap the yarn as many times as I'm going to want to cast on. For this tutorial I'm going to do 10. 3, 6, 9, here's 10. So right here should be enough for 10. I'm going to give myself a little bit more slack. I don't use a slip knot. I just go for it. And I'm going to cast on 10. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, I'm going to leave it like that. We could always fix it. Okay. So, on these Flexi flips, there is a sharper point and a little bit duller point. When I first started out, I was always trying to get this sharp point, and it was driving me crazy figuring out which way to hold the needle, and I figured it doesn't really make any difference, and I just went with it, and whatever side came up I went with it. So I'm going to hold this yarn right down here. The yarn is on my right side, so I'm going to say that this position is my right side of the work. So I'm going to pull this bottom one out a little bit, and I'm going to knit across. I hope y'all can see against the white background. come up to the end here, and I hold this needle in my hand, and I push the one with my working yarn to the middle of the needle. Turn it, and then slide this down just like you would if you were doing magic loop. And I'm going to go to the other side. I have this needle here and these two needles back here. It's just whatever is comfortable for you. Now when I first cast those on and went to start, you notice that I didn't have an even amount. And that doesn't bother me, because I can always make it up in the first few stitches. Again, my hand is, the needle is in this hand. Slide the working yarn that I just did to the middle. Turn it and stick the stitches back on. Now my tail is on the right side, so I know that this is my right side. For this row, I'm going to start my increase for toe up. I'm going to check and see which one has the less stitches, so I excuse me, so I know which one to make up. 3, 6, 9, 10. All right, this is 11. So I am not going to increase on this one. This side. But if I increase on one side or the other, then I will start out with 12. I don't do make one left, make one right. I just do one knit front and back on the one before the last stitch. Needle is in this hand. Slide it to the middle, turn, and slide the top one that you're going to be working on. Let's see how many stitches I have on this. There's 11. So I'll do this one just the opposite. 1, and then I'll make 1. That's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, split that, 11, and 12. Needles in my left hand. Slide this to the middle, turn it, and the top one is the one that we will be working on. Okay. My tail is on my right side, so it's time to do a knit row. And you'll see that this bends very easily. And you just tighten up that first stitch. So I'm just going to knit across on both both sides. Your needles are going to break in the more you knit, and they're going to flex the more you use them. Slide it, turn it, and push that top one. Slide it, turn it upside down, and slide your first one. And that is how you cast on for a toe up on these. And you just continue with your, I hope you can see that. You just continue with your knit one row even in your knitting, and then you increase until you have the amount of stitches that you need. If you want me to do a demonstration on how to knit a whole sock, I can go ahead and possibly work on a tutorial in separate parts using these needles. But that's your toe up. Okay, now for the cuff down. I use the same method for estimating how much yarn I needed by doing the wraparound one needle. So I'm going to cast on, for this demonstration, 60 stitches. And I won't bore you with watching me cast on that many. And I'll meet you back when I have all of them. Okay, I have my 60 stitches. And it worked out pretty good the way that I determined how much yarn I'm going to need for a cast on this time. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Just all depends. So I'm going to slide these all the way to the end here. And keep in mind, I don't use double points. I'm a magic looper or a 9-inch knitter, 9-inch needle knitter. I'll say that 5 times. And I cast on 60 so that I would have more to show you how the knitting is, how you hold your needles. So I'm going to transfer half of those 60s onto another needle. So that'd be 30.
I hope I'm not too close. Okay, this should be 30. Let's see. Here's 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 26. Let's put one of those back. Okay.
Okay, so I do have 30 on each. I have, after I've turned it, I've got here's my tail and my working yarn here, And all squished to the middle, and the top needle, which is where we're going to join. Take the other needle, put it in that, stitch on the top without twisting. I will knit across, pulling that first one very tight. And I will knit across to the other side, to the last stitch on this needle. And this is how I am holding the needles. These are bent in. I've got these two underneath my, on top of my pinky and my ring finger. I think I'm getting a little bit too close. Coming up to my last one. Keep this needle that you just used in your left hand. Squish this top needle that has the working yarn to the middle. Turn it. And straighten out your needles, your stitches I mean, and pull those to the top of the needle. The last one's going to be a little tight till we get going here. Okay. This hole right here, this gap, it will straighten up. You'll have to trust me on that. It's going to take a couple rows for it to close up. You knit and you pull that first one real tight, and the second one. Oh, that's not good. Not good, Maureen. Let's put those back. Let's try this again. Okay. If you keep the bottom needle away from you towards the back, it'll be a lot easier to manipulate. And we will work over to the other side, to the end of this row. Still have my this working needle positioned over my pinky and my ring finger. Didn't quite get that one. I hope you can't hear these little race cars going up and down our street. And those aren't kids, those are parents. adults, I should say. Okay, now needles in my left, squish this to the middle, turn it. I'm going to put this down, and I'm going to make sure that my stitches are positioned correctly. Okay. Now normally you would be working in your pattern of your ribbing, which either 1 by 1 or 2 by 2. Well, gosh, why don't I just let the camera eat the yarn? So here's 1, and I'm tightening it. 2, 1, 2, 2, and continue to the opposite side, and I'll meet you back here. Okay, I'm coming up to the last 2 stitches, and I knit those, so I will purl these. Move these to the middle. Turn. Put these to the front here. And you start all over again with these in the middle. Knit, tighten up, knit, tighten up. And purl. And just continue in this pattern to the end. I'm up to my last 2 stitches. Now I'm going to knit those. That needle's in my left. Scooch these down to the middle. And you start all over again. I'm going to go ahead and do 3 or 4 more rows until this hole closes up, and then I'll straighten it so that you can just watch the needles. I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so I've added a few rows, and I wanted to show you I added a short little cuff here, but I wanted to show you that there will be no holes. I hope you can see that with this poor lighting. On both sides, there's no holes. So I've started just knitting straight across, and I'll do a couple more just so that you can watch how I hold the needles, and I won't be talking. Except now, when I'm getting into the middle, sort of the middle, I change automatically to this. The back needle is in here. These are the same, and then this back needle here goes between my pinky and my ring finger, and that's, I just realized, it's just automatic that it goes like that. So it's mostly comfortable for me. So all you have to do is just find your own comfort zone. And I'll try to go slow and move this down a little bit. Can you see those needles that are in the back? Those are the ones that are on the scooched up ones that are in the middle. If you'll remember that the working yarn needle always is the one that gets scooched up in the back. That kind of helped me, and I push these closer to where I'm going to be knitting them from. I hope that makes sense. And my needle is always on the top. The working yarn is always on the top of this needle, never under here, because that'll cause an extra stitch. So I'm seeing that when I start out, that needle is right there under my pointer finger. And this will be my last one, and hopefully you have enough here to get you started and to practice on. You can always stop it, pause it, rewind it, watch it in slow motion. There should be 3 dots up on the right hand side of your screen corner, and if you'll press that, the last, it is on mine, the last option in that screen is play, I think, play speed, and it'll give you the opportunity to either speed it up or slow it down. And that is how I use the Flexi flips. I hope this has helped. If it has, give me a thumbs up. If you have any questions, just put your comments below. In the comments section, your questions, and I'll try to get back with you. But that's how you do it. The more you do it, the more you knit with it, the easier it gets. My impression of this when I first got these, is I couldn't get it. I couldn't get them cast on. I couldn't hold the needles. It was just very, very awkward, because the first reason would be probably because I'm not a double pointed knitter. A magic loop, as I said, and 9-inch circulars. So it was very frustrating, and I couldn't find any videos on how to start it. They went so fast, and even the ones that from this company, I think it's Skasel. They have a tutorial there, but they've already got stitches on the needles, and that wasn't helping me at all. So, but that being said, between these and the 9-inch circulars, I like them just about the same. So the more I work with it, the faster I get, and the easier it is to hold those needles and control the needles. You're not going to be able to control them the whole time. They're going to do what they want to do, but with practice, it'll come to you a lot easier. So I hope you enjoyed the little tutorial. I hope it wasn't too scattered, but I'm not a professional tutorial maker, so, but I thought this would be helpful to somebody. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.